From Whole Grain Pictures comes the 2006 Vietnamese boat people historical drama Journey from the Fall, directed by Tran, with Kieu, Chinh, Nguyen, and Diem, Lien. And boy, was this a great movie. I'm not going to beat around the bush. This is a solidly great movie. I'm surprised I had never heard of this. I'm surprised this film hasn't been talked about more. This is really, really good. It's really unpleasant at times. It is a heavy drama, but boy, does it illuminate a period of history I was unaware of, a term I was unaware of, and it really packs a punch. So technical specs up front, it is 136 minutes. The audio is Vietnamese and English 5.1 surround, Vietnamese and English 2.0 stereo, Spanish 5.1, subtitles Vietnamese and English. I'm sorry, I just said that. Subtitles are English for the Vietnamese dialogue and English SDH subtitle track for the deaf and hard of hearing, and Spanish subtitles. And it is a 2-disc set. It is the Blu-ray with what I'm going to tell you about the film and the extras, and then it is a separate CD soundtrack. So I'll go up front. The CD soundtrack, it's very good. It's not music I would necessarily listen to very often, but it's a solid, decent score, and it's really cool that it's included because we don't get that very often. It's harder and harder to find. I know people don't do CDs as much as they used to, but anything on streaming, it's there now. Might it be there later? I don't know. You might have it on a hard drive. What if the hard drive fails? I still dig CDs. So, and LPs and 8 tracks and all that stuff. So, Whole Grain Pictures is a company I've only seen 2 releases from, and up front they do something that was very amusing to me. There was a disclaimer, and it was, you usually see the FBI disclaimer and you don't really pay attention, but it's a picture of amber waves of grain and a lot of fine print, and then my eye caught a little of it before it faded away, and I rewound it and I paused it and I had a good laugh. It basically says, it thanks you for supporting boutique Blu-ray companies, and it asks that you don't rip and upload the content. Don't. And it warns about excessive dietary fiber and asks you to turn off the motion smoothing and enhancement on your TV. Yes, thank you. That kind of information up front is going to make me like the movie even more, because I know the company they're where it's at as far as my ideology. Don't rip and share stuff. It just means that you're screwing the companies that are putting these things out and barely making any money in the first place, and it pretty much ensures that they won't be able to keep doing that. So yes, it gives you a great source to freely steal and upload and download things, but you keep doing that and you won't have those sources anymore. So you'll enjoy the old beat up bootleg VHS copies that we all used to have to suffer with. So the film, basically, it's set in a couple periods of time. It starts off right during the fall of Saigon in 1975 in Vietnam, and people are fleeing because the Americans have left and the communists are coming in, and people who had lived in a non-communist Vietnam are either deciding to stay and see what happens or trying to get out of there and save their families because they have a bad feeling about what's about to happen. This film focuses on one family, father, mother, son, grandmother is the basic family unit. Father says to the rest of the family, get out of here, I'll catch up with you. They do everything they can to get out of the country, which is to basically be muled out of the country and become boat people. Boat people is a term I'd often heard growing up. It's still sort of a thing, people fleeing their country and they desperately get on a boat, either by their own volition or because that's what they're told to do from the people they're paying to get out of their country. And they're basically at some point left to their own devices to survive and hopefully get to their final destination where they can attempt to have a life that isn't being at the end of a sight, as it were, if they're not, in the crosshairs, shall we say, in the country they came from. So that's the overall story. We see the family going on their horrifying journey from Vietnam to hopefully America, and conditions of which echo slave ships in the days of that going on. And then we see the father being basically put in a re-education camp where he and everybody else who disagreed with the government, or they might have been poets, they might have been politicians, they might have been teachers, who knows what, they're basically put in concentration camps for the foreseeable future, where they're tortured and barely allowed to be alive while being indoctrinated with the communist doctrine. He's trying to do whatever he can to survive in hopes that he will one day see his family again. So not a lot of laughs in this film, but boy, is this really well done. And I don't know what the resources this filmmaker had to make this movie, but it does not feel cheap, and it feels true to the era. It feels true to the late 70s period in America. It feels true for for all I know about what a prison camp, what a re-education camp was like in the 70s in Vietnam. That feels like they didn't cheap out on that. And it bops back and forth in time a little bit. It's like 1975, 77, 79, and 81, but it's mostly linear overall. And you're just watching this wondering, is anybody going to make it to where they want to be? Are all those family members going to make it to America? What is their experience going to be like if they do? Is the father going to survive the prison camp? If he does, how is he going to get to America? If he does, how is he going to find his family? And it's not just that family story. You get a couple of peripheral character stories, and they're all in the same position. And wow, it's a hard watch. There's not a lot of graphic, horrible anything. It's just the tone is very heavy. And when you realize this is a true story, this is a story of literally some of the people you see in the movie. This is a story of so many people who came here. This is the story of so many Vietnamese Americans or their parents or their grandparents who came here. And in the extras, they talk about that. They say this is a story that hasn't really been told in America to American audiences, that a lot of people really don't know this, and they really should. And I very strongly agree. So it's, as I say, very well done. Extras on this, I'm not going to give away what happens to any of the characters, but the extras on this are really good. They're really voluminous. I'll quickly go over them. You get the making of Journey from the Fall. That's 38 minutes. It's archival. And I say archival, it means it's 4:3 letterboxed. Produced, early 2000s, before everything had gone over necessarily to HD or to HD content. The original stuff could have been shot in HD, but it's 4:3 standard def letterboxd. There's an alternate cut of one sequence in the film that's 2 minutes, which is very interesting. There's an alternate ending that's 9 minutes. I get choked up when I talk about alternate endings. There's a cast and crew roundtable from 2006. It's 129 minutes. It's actually a video commentary. So it's 4:3, and you see the cast, they look like they're on the set of like a local TV show or almost a public access show. Cast and crew, and in the corner of the screen, you're seeing the movie as it plays. You get cast and crew interviews that are 5 minutes, 4:3, which are more like an electronic press kit thing. You get the original trailer, 2.5 minutes, TV spots that are a minute, promotional featurette that's 4 minutes, that's also archival. TV intro from Kieu, Chinh, who is from 2006, who plays the grandmother in the film. You wouldn't know, because the makeup that effectively aged her and made her look much more worse for the wear. It's an interesting contrast to see how good the makeup was as compared to what she really looked like. There's the Blu-ray trailer, which is the trailer for this release. There are historical features. You have 33 minutes of testimonials. These are interviews with actual boat people and survivors of the re-education camps. This is also 4:3, many of whom are in the film. A lot of it's people who were interviewed on the set of the film. One man who plays sort of the commandant at the re-education camp was a guy who survived the re-education camp. And the way he talks about wanting to accurately portray the people who terrorized him was amazing. And amazing that the guy could do it and was willing to do it. And saying he was striving to let people know what it was like for him. It's amazing. The Legend of Li Lu, which is a Vietnamese legend that's referenced throughout the film. That's a text step-through gallery. Historical background on the fall of Saigon and the boat people and the re-education camps. That's a text gallery. As I said, the bonus soundtrack CD is 16 tracks and 31 minutes long. I can show you the package. It's just a really good movie. It's not going to be everybody's bag because it's historical and it's very serious. Performances are outstanding in this film. You see there, you get the CD, you get the Blu-ray. If you take those off, you get a reversible cover with alternate artwork. This is just an excellent movie. As I say, in whole grain pictures, if you can see that, I love how their specs look like nutritional information on the back. Why this film is not better talked about, I don't know. I really hope this film finds a new audience on this whole grain Blu-ray, because this is one of the best movies I've seen in quite a while. It's just really, really good. On Blu-ray from Whole Grain Pictures is Journey from the Fall from 2006.